It is a good time to be a Chargers fan, and I don't want to get too far ahead of myself because the preseason hasn't even started yet, but the Hall of Fame game against the Detroit Lions gave us a lot to be excited about. 34-7 finish, and I think a lot of people were really intrigued to see how the Jim Harbaugh version of this team would be looking. Over the last few years, the team has been able to pick up some pretty good, like what are looking like franchise players, such as Justin Herbert from the 2020 draft, Ladd McConkey and Joe Alt from the 2024 draft, and even someone like Cameron Dicker, who replaced Dustin Hopkins after he became injured in 2022. But the coaching was not quite there. That was somewhere where there was definitely more potential to be realized. And there were a few big names going into the Hall of Fame game that people were keeping an eye on. Obviously, the top of that list was Trey Lance. You know, he was this ostensibly prodigy, had come from the 49ers. That was a huge story. He had cost them 3 firsts and a third, and then he ended up pretty much not being able to have his 2 first seasons, his major development seasons, because of subsequent injuries. Then there was Omarion Hampton, who was the Chargers' first rounder for 2025, and also Keandre Lambert-Smith, who was their 5th rounder, and he had also developed a bit of a reputation for himself as being like kind of insane in one-on-one practice. And I'm just gonna say Trey Lance turned out to be quite the impressive surprise. And it feels kind of weird to say that about someone who was a 3rd overall pick, but after all the drama, he completed 13 out of 20 passes for 120 yards, and he scored 2 touchdowns. And Chargers offensive coordinator Greg Roman particularly pointed out that he did it all without turning the ball over. He's competing for the role of Justin Herbert's backup, but after everything that's happened, I mean, I love an underdog. I am rooting for this guy so hard. Hampton looked impressive too with 2 carries, and Lambert-Smith really impressed people by catching for 43 yards and getting a touchdown. So what I'm saying is, even if it's technically too early, like it's not even the preseason yet, we don't really know how these teams actually fare against each other. I'm optimistic, bro, and I think that a lot of people are optimistic after this game. I only pray at the church of Jim Harbaugh. Alright, can the season start now?